Howdy everyone. Today's video is about fraud detection, and the specific technique I want to focus on is called isolation forest. So there's all kinds of ways to do outlier detection or fraud detection to try to indicate if something is fraudulent or just something looks very, very weird because it's sort of an outlier and it's far away from the rest of the group. We can do anomaly detection to look for unusual patterns. We can do log regression. This is actually a classifier. It sounds a little bit funny to have it called regression. I never figured out why, but it's actually a classifier to help us determine if something is unusual or falls into a specific pattern and becomes detected as an outlier. There's all kinds of clustering techniques that we could use to do anomaly detection, and neural networks such as TensorFlow and PyTorch are helpful, especially for large complex data sets. And all of these examples are pretty straightforward. They're very generic. You can find lots of sample code on the internet. I don't want to focus on any of these, but I think one that is very interesting to me, and I think has very wide applications, is called isolation forest. This is an effective way for detecting outliers because of how it works for its detection. Basically it focuses on it focuses on what's called few and different outliers compared to the majority of data. So outliers tend to be isolated more quickly in a random partitioning of the data rather than the normal observations. So let's go with this data set. It's called mtcars. I like this a lot. You'll see this in a lot of my videos. It's very easy to work with. Has a lot of interesting data points, and it's pretty easy to collect the data. It's very structured and cleaned up and refined, so I like this one a lot. So let me go ahead and run this. We're going to pull in the data from the web. Okay, here's what the data set looks like. Let me do a quick bar and whisker plot here so we can see how the data looks like. So displacement and horsepower seem to have some deviation here. We're going to focus on these two. The miles per gallon tends to be a pretty small margin, and all of these other features over here, the weight of the vehicle, number of carburetors, is all pretty small. So let's focus on displacement and horsepower. Okay, I'm going to kick off the isolation forest analysis here. I'm going to run a couple of run the data frame through this model right here. I'm going to share all this code with you. I'm going to post it, this specific code, when I post the video. So all you have to do is download the file, double click it to open it. You'll have an HTML file, and everything will be saved in the file. I'm not going to go through all the details of all the code, but this is a good general example. You have what you need. All you have to do to run this on your data set is put your specific data frame in right here. Instead of mtcars, you'll substitute your data set, right? And then just run this as is on your specific data, and you'll get the results that you want, right? I'm just trying to illustrate the point of how to do this in a very generic but very realistic fashion. Okay, so now we have our isolation forest here, and based on these features that we put in, displacement and horsepower, we have anomaly scores. That's what the isolation forest does first. And then it says this is anomaly, which is a -1, or it's nothing, which is just a +1. We'll just kind of leave it alone as a 1. And if it's a -1, we want to know about that. So that's it's basically done. It's just that easy. It's very, very simple to run this type of thing. And all of these anomaly detectors or fraud detectors are pretty straightforward. But I want to plot this data because I think a picture is worth 1,000 words. And we plot it, you can see where the outliers actually sit. This is pretty cool. Now, you'll see 4 outliers here in red. They're highlighted in red. When you put the mouse over it, you get the bubble pop-up tooltip item right here, which is very helpful with these plotly plots. You can even zoom in and get finer and finer details of plot. Of course, you can zoom out, you can pan, sweep. They're very interactive, so I like these plotlies a lot. I tend to use these things a lot in my work. And that's it. That's all there is to it. We have 4 outliers here. It's very visible in the plot. If I go ahead and do the same plot just with the normal plotly scatter plot, we'll get the same results with displacement on the x-axis, horsepower on the y-axis. But looking at this, you cannot tell where these outliers are, right? You would really have no idea. The scatter plot is fine. Everything is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing, but without running the isolation forest method on the data, we don't know where the outliers are. We simply don't know. But once we run it, and it takes just a couple of seconds, just a few lines of code, we get some very interesting results that are meaningful. We can take this to our stakeholders, to the clients we're working with, and present our findings. And I think they're going to be thrilled. So that's it. Pretty short video. Thanks for your time today, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.